Alright, welcome to FLEARN 2. This is where you're going to learn how to measure, cut, sand, and glue while you're making a nameplate. And so first I'm going to get some safety glasses on because you're going to be using a number of tools and some glue and stuff while we do this. Okay? So what we need to do is get a piece of wood. Well, before we do that actually, before we get there, you need to determine what name you're going to have. For example, my name is Ken, so I'm going to have 3 letters, and this is either on your computer or in your book, depending if it's online or not, times 1.5 inches. This is the number of inches, 4.5 inches in this case, that I have to cut this piece of wood. You have to prove to me that you can measure and cut the right distance. So as you can see, 3 letters times 1.5 is 4.5. There's calculators in the front and the yellow boxes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my tape measure. I will have done a demo, actually a lesson on measuring, and I'm going to mark here, and I'm going to mark here, and I'm going to use the rafters angle to make sure that I have a nice straight line. You see this edge? I'm going to have that edge flat against there, so I have a nice 90-degree angle. Okay, and I'm going to measure again. The reason I'm doing this is I need to know where to put that blade when I start cutting. If I start cutting down the center of that line, I'm going to take off some stuff I want to leave. So I'm going to actually make sure when I start cutting that I can just see the edge of, because I want to leave 4.5 inches. Now, back to my miter box. Remember that edge over the side? And I'm going to have this, but come around a little bit so they can see this. This is flat against that wall. And I can clamp this in place, but I got to make sure that I have this where I want it. So, line this up. Woo! All right. Start cutting slowly. I'm going to move these letters out of the way. And keep the blade nice and flat. Okay, you hear a little click at the end. Before I do anything else, I need to measure to make sure that I'm within 1/16 of an inch, and you can see 4.5 inches exactly. Okay, that's what I want. Now, one more thing. Before you start cutting a piece of wood, you might want to bring this rafters angle and make sure the piece of wood that you have is nice and flat. Someone else might have cut it at an angle like this, and that'll mess you up. So check that. You might even have to cut it flat and then cut another piece. Okay? So, I have my 4.5 inch piece of wood. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write my name on the back. Ken Breaker. That way, when we clean up, someone won't just, you know, hey, we'll throw it in the wood bin or whatever. Now, we have to sand this. I'm going to do a demo on this in class, but maybe you aren't here doing that. Just like you have dots per inch on a TV, you have 120, and you'll notice they're bigger than the 220, which is smaller. You want to start with the bigger, and there's a poster, if you look up here, sanding 101. First sand the edges with the 120, then sand the sides with the 120 with the grain, I'll explain that, and then with the 220. So, what that means is, the edges is where we get splinters. First thing we're going to want to do is sand those down so we don't have splinter edges. All the other sanding is with the grain. See the lines in the wood? I want to sand with, now this needs to be knocked down a little bit. I want to sand with those lines. And this is something where I'm not going to show all this in the video. Okay, it's going to take a long time. We're going to pause the video. Okay, so I finished sanding with the 120 sandpaper, and now I'm going to go, notice I'm over the garbage can so that we don't have a mess all over the room. And we typically do this in the back of the room away from the computers and laser cutter, well not the laser cutter, but the 3D printers and stuff. So, and now I'm at the 220, and I did this. So this is going to take 5 to 10 minutes. It's a good workout, part of the PE program we have here at Chinook. And the thing is that you want this smooth on the side that you're going to glue the letters, okay? I do want the back down a little bit, not much, just to knock down the splinter potential. I don't like things to leave my room, okay? So, here we have this. I'm going to grab a chair now. Have a seat. I need to have a clamp, a scrap piece of wood. This is the one from FLEARN 1. And I'm going to glue these letters on. But notice the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay them out in a pattern of what I want. How far apart I want. You can even, if you want, use a ruler and use it so that they're evenly spaced, all that kind of stuff. Whatever makes you feel good about that. I have a brush, a flux brush. There's the water here. There'll be a towel if there's wet ones. And you only put a drop 1 drop of glue, bam, at a time. If you put too much glue on there, you end up with too much glue. I'm going to dip this in. I'm not going to put a whole bunch of glue on this. You don't want it near the edges, and you don't want it to be bunched up. So 1 drop of glue is about right for 1 letter. Notice I don't have it, it's really thin on there. Put the letter back down. Don't slide it around too much, another drop of glue. Why? That's a little bit more than a drop, but I don't put too much on the brush because you do not, matter of fact, I like that E like that better. So you do not want to have it where it oozes out of the side. You'll actually be graded on that. See, I have too much there, I'm going to spread it out. Okay, oops, I have some on the side. I'll brush that off. It's okay. You want enough that it stays on there, but not so much that it oozes out. That's kind of the elementary school level of gluing. Okay, when you have it oozing out of the sides. There's times for that in woodworking when you're making like a cutting board, but this is not one of those times. This is where the final piece you don't want to see. I'm going to put this end down. All right, I'm going to put this glue in the water, the brush in the water. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this to the edge of the table and clamp it. Pushing straight down so it doesn't slide the letters around. Now I'm going to go over to the computer and I'm going to do number 8. Number 8 says, on the computer, find your name and its origin, write it on the back of the wood. Okay, in google.com, type in where did your name originate or what does your name mean. Don't go to Urban Dictionary, that's slang. And it's got some nasty stuff on there. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the actual meaning and origin of your name. Also, while you're writing, hey, get the write-up done. That way, when this is done and you've written on the back, bring it to me. We grade it. Now you can start working on side projects, and there's lots of side projects for you to choose from. So, matter of fact, if you get that done and you're waiting for me for some reason, look on the side projects. Okay, this takes 3 to 5 minutes to dry. All right, don't wait until the last minute of class to start gluing, because you're not going to leave it like this and walk out of your room. You're going to put it in your locker and hope that it stays together. Okay, so this will dry. I don't need to do anything with that. I put the glue back, I put this back. Notice I'm putting all my tools away as I do this, and the sandpaper. Don't throw this out. This isn't even barely used. We'll use these sheets for almost the whole year. Okay, and when they get bad enough, I will throw them out and replace them. So that's it. Have fun with this. I want you to learn how to measure, cut, sand, and glue, and then guess what? You're going to be able to do a lot of building in here if you want between the projects. All right.